Today, we'll be talking about tribalism. Now, if you don't know what tribalism is, go ahead and ask yourself some of these questions. Do you perhaps have a favorite sports team that you love, win or lose? Or maybe a city that you represent? Or perhaps you follow a political party that, in your eyes, can do no wrong? See, as humans, we tend to seek and identify our own and find refuge in numbers. I myself am guilty of this. On a campus full of people from different backgrounds and upbringings, I tend to gravitate towards people who I feel like look and think like me. Now, what we're both exhibiting in these situations is tribalism. Now, Merriam-Webster describes tribalism as a tribal loyalty or consciousness, especially one that exalts their own tribe and loyalty above others. So to better understand this concept, we're going to kind of take a look at what tribalism is, how it relates to our own innate human nature, and ways that we kind of exhibit it today. So tribalism in its simplest form is really just the grouping of people. Seth Davis describes that our tribalism can refer to, just the grouping of people based on common interests, things that go beyond birth ties. And these can include several factors, such as simply their geographical location, or perhaps their ethnicity, their ideologies, occupations, so on and so forth. So why do we do this? According to C.J. Clarke and his co-authors of Tribalism is Human Nature, our selective pressures has molded our mind and behaviors so that we have a tribal consciousness, and that we all already kind of have this innate mental bias towards people that we see as other. Let's get back onto the PowerPoint here. So as humans, we historically have evolved by our intergroup competitions. We are, from this point, hardwired to form relationships and to succeed based off of those relationships. And that is why a random allocation can really throw us off and change the way we behave in our group. And that's according to Ian Lawson in his own occupational debrief on tribalism. Going back to C.J. Clarke's article, he also perpetuates this idea of a pack mentality or innate pack mentality that we have. And it's proven whenever a more cooperative group not only survives better than other cooperative groups, but are able to, appropriate resources from that other group for themselves, going back into the intergroup competition. Now, as humans, since the beginning of time, we have awarded these behaviors. We have pushed and enforced this idea of for the greater good. So that's why we award individuals for their contributions to the greater group for things such as, military recognitions, sport competitions, pledging Greek life, or even government elections. Now, looking and knowing about us making these subconscious selections in our connections, we can kind of see how we demonstrate these things today. For example, in sports, if you have a team that you love, that you support, win or lose, maybe your pride and loyalty does not waver despite the results of the game. That's an example. Another major example would be in politics. For example, some of us like to push for our party rather than for our individual interests. So examples of this can be whenever elected officials may vote on bills based on, their party association, or even citizens might vote elected officials into office based on their own party associations. Now, this can be a dangerous thing. And the reason why it can be a dangerous thing is because sometimes we can ignore our own morality and our own moral judgments for what benefits our group. R.J. Antonio captured this perfectly in his article, Right-Wing Populism and De-Democratization, where he describes how Donald J. Trump's 2016 campaign revealed the way fear-mongering can cause people to, close their circles of trust and outcast anyone they see as other. And things like this can form a growing collective narcissism. And that collective narcissism makes it harder for people within the group to empathize with outsiders. And sometimes they choose to be ignorant to the needs of outsiders. So what do we get from recognizing what tribalism is? By understanding what it is and how we fall into the habit of it, we're able to see where we apply it today, and we can also familiarize ourselves with how it allows sorry. We can also familiarize ourselves with how it affects us and those around us. Understanding the human behaviors really helps us understand the relationships that we formed, what we give and take from those relationships, and also better empathize with people that we believe are different and don't identify with the groups that we do. So just remember, whenever you criticize your leaders, or whenever you root for the other team, or maybe when you vote for policy rather than party, you aren't only breaking away from these social structures, but also the very human nature that allotted us to be there in the first place. Thank you very much.